Hey, it's Drybear. Torn Banner, the creators of Chivalry, has released their newest game in early access, No More Room in Hell 2. And today, after playing it a whole bunch, I want to give you a beginner's guide to get you started in the game because honestly, a lot of the game is poorly explained right now or makes little sense, and you really have to just bump around in the dark until you get it. So I'm going to help you skip all of that so you can just jump right into the game and start enjoying it. Let's start with the overall gameplay loop because it's a little bit different than what you might expect. This is a permadeath game. You cannot turn that off. That is part of the overall experience. And so when you first load in, you would choose between 3 named characters that come with 1 skill attached, and you will be able to play that character until you either exit a game in session or you die in that session where that character will be lost. You'll notice that they have a name. Like over here, I have Todd, the hockey player. You'll choose a new one every single time. If you die or you fail to extract or you even just disconnect or leave the game, that character will be lost and you'll have to start over. However, if you do extract from the mission, you will get character XP, which will unlock more and more perks, and you can actually choose these to create a build. For Todd, the hockey player, he started with a perk this time around where I get reduced stamina when I have a 2-handed melee swing, so I just went ahead and after a couple extractions, I just made him into more of a melee build, where it's more stagger from 2-handed melee. At low health, I consume no stamina, so I can swing freely. I get increased melee headshot damage, and shoving deals damage as well, so he's like a melee player, that sort of thing, and you get up to 8 perks if you extract a few times and get to max level 50, and then you're kind of holding on to that character to make sure that you actually keep it, because if you die, you will lose it. However, whether you extract or not, you will still get account experience, and most of this is earned by completing objectives in the game, which you'll find throughout the match. So you do want to make sure you're completing objectives to unlock more of these skills and abilities to get your account XP, and the character XP is only if you extract. So let's jump into a match and show all the different things that you can do in here. So in the top left, you'll notice there is a difficulty level. You'll actually see this if you hit escape, and this goes up as you get better at the game and extract more. It'll give you more experience and give you more options, which I think is really cool and kind of helps expand that there. At base, you have basically your starter gear. If you press tab on PC, you'll bring up your inventory. You'll be given a small pipe and a magnum with magnum ammo on it, as well as a revive syringe. So if you go down, you can self-revive 1 time, and that is it. Your health is this bar up here. It is actually a health bar. It's not true Resident Evil, so as it goes down, you'll see it get lower, and you'll have to use consumables to clean it up. You do have a flashlight. You can press Q on PC to light it up, and you'll be able to like explore things and look things that way. However, you'll notice on the flashlight, there is these 4 green lights. The flashlight has a battery. It will run out, and it will start flickering and being really useless if you don't replace it. And the way you replace it is by getting consumable items. At any time, you can right-click on PC to shove. With most weapons and most things in your hand, you can shove. This cost stamina and will knock some zombie away from you, and you can get perks that make it deal damage and do other things like that, which is super important. You can also left click to swing with your melee weapon. However, it consumes a lot of stamina, and you'll see that tiny little stamina bar in the middle of the screen that will go down. If that ever goes down all the way and goes red, you'll have an out-of-breath situation where you can't do anything, and then we'll have to recover, which is super important because you'll get swarmed by a lot of zombies. You can also have weapons and ammo. Note that you do not have an ammo readout by default. It's very hyper-realistic. So what you can do is you can hold the reload button, R. You'll check the weapon, it'll show you your ammo count, disappear, and it also will verbally announce to your teammates how much ammo you actually have. And keep in mind that if you ever do use a weapon, it is very loud and it will attract a lot of zombies. Another thing to keep in mind that is super cool because this map is absolutely massive. You can see I'm up there at the top. It is a huge map. Sprinting does not consume stamina, so you can sprint as much as you want. You can sprint across the whole map. What sprinting does in this game is it slows the regeneration of your stamina. So if I were to like use up my stamina a bunch. So let's use up a little stamina here and then sprint. I have to wait, like let it recover a little bit because I'm on the red state. But if I sprint, you'll see it's still going up just very slowly. So you can sprint as much as you want. Just note that if you're out of stamina and you sprint, you're going to recover slowly. So don't be afraid to sprint because that's going to be a big part of the game as well. And the most important part is that going to be holding the C button, C as in cat on PC. This brings up your compass, and I didn't know this existed for the longest time, for like the first 8 hours of the game, but you can hold this. This will give you a directional indicator for the like north, south, east, west, which you can use the map for. But most importantly, it brings up Top left, it shows your party members, it shows your health bar, and it also shows your objectives in the bottom right. Without that, all you have is these markers which disappear if you don't look at them. Like they actually fall off the screen if you aren't looking in that direction, and sometimes you have to look at them to get them to come back, and sometimes you'll be at a loss of like, what do I do? Hold C, and it'll show you the direction of all your indicators, it'll show you your objectives, and it'll update when you have like in place objectives for doing that to complete the match as well. Next, let's go over your goal this time around. So every time you're going to spawn on one of the 3 corners of the map. Think of it like a triangle, where on the north side there's a bottom left side or a bottom right side. So southwest, southeast, and north. And those will have 2 locations marked. Every single POI, so like gas station, mine shaft, all of those are points of interest, and those will usually have a very heavily armed vault inside of it. If you complete the objectives of that location, the objectives won't show up until you walk into the location, and you'll get yellow markers that'll show you your optional objectives to complete that location. If you finish all of them, you get a big fat vault that usually has 2 to 3 weapons, hundreds of ammo, tons of medical supplies, barricades. They are very good to do, and you want to do at least 1 or 2 vaults before you head into the final area. Each time you start a match, 2 POIs close to the center will be marked in red. In this case, we have checkpoint and train station. You have to complete 1 of these 2 to gain access to the middle area, which is your final extraction point. So we can do gas station here, then we can go over to checkpoint, complete that, then we get access to the train yard, we go into the train yard, and we begin extraction so that we can save our character and gain XP. Every time you go into a game, it is a game full of 8 total players, and they will be playing with you. And your goal is to meet up with them, squad up with them, and try to extract together. And trust me, especially on the higher difficulties, extracting solo is damn near impossible. You need a lot of spare hands because you're gonna have to do puzzles and other mechanics while someone's watching your back in order to be able to survive and get through it. So you want to use the buddy system and find other players. And generally when you spawn, you'll spawn near others. So if we run through here, we'll usually find other players that we can team up with, and then we can group up with and progress forward. You'll find different things that you can use. There are passive gear slots like light and key items. This will give you armor, softer footprints, things like that. The ability to barricade faster, all passive buffs. And those are super important. And you'll also find these random things that are just supplies. Don't think of these as supplies. Literally just think of this as character XP. You will hold on to supplies. They don't take your inventory. It'll show you how much supplies you have in your inventory. And when you extract, whatever supplies you have will turn into character XP and level your character up. So if you extract with a lot of supplies, you could level a lot faster and get your character much stronger much sooner. Now let's look at zombies. For the most part, most zombies are not all that threatening. They're very slow. Luckily, they're not like 28 days later zombies. So again, you can shove them if you want to knock them back. And they actually do have weak points as well. So like hitting them in the arm versus the leg versus the head will do different damage. And I recommend trying to go for the head as much as possible, as you will usually get stagger damage from that. And generally, depending on your weapon, you'll be able to destroy them that way. They don't drop any loot, and they will spawn endlessly. They are infinite. They will never stop coming, no matter where you are. The deeper into the map you go and the longer into the match you go, the more zombies will spawn. So you really don't want to take your time too much because you will get overrun. So now we're going to check our compass, see where we're supposed to go, and start heading out. Our battery's almost dead for this. We're doing this live. You can check trunks and stuff like that for pieces. Really what you want to look for is just some decent weapons, and generally I recommend just running by zombies as you go, except for the special runners. There are runners that are usually shirtless or they're in their underwear and they scream like weirdos, and they will run incredibly fast. I call them Barry Allen, the fastest man alive, because they zoom after you and they are very hard to avoid. But for most of the zombies, you can kind of just kite them around and try to get around them, because usually since they never stop coming, you don't want to spend too much time dealing with them if you can help it. I'm gonna grab this rebar actually, knock him away, grab the rest of this, grab a grenade, punch him, and then we'll get out of here to get moving. So again, we're using our compass to get to the next spot so we can clear it, get those vaults, and we'll be good to go. There's a bandage. Let's replace our flashlight battery. Like I said, the flashlight batteries are consumable, so we'll do flashlight batteries. We'll switch to this. We'll hold left click to replace it, and now we got a full charge on our flashlight, but it is going to be consumed there. I just want to make sure you guys can see it for this guy. Another thing to keep in mind, which is super important, is none of the gear that you have on you is kept when you extract. When you load into the game, you'll start with the same loadout every time, so don't worry about wasting ammo at the end of the match if you're about to extract or trying to hold on to things. And generally, I will drop the starter pipe just if we get a better melee weapon along the way. But you can see that we just made it to our first POI, the gas station here, and we have this objective. So we need to do these yellow objectives to clear this base, which will unlock the vault and give us lots of extra ammo and gear. So we're going to deal with it that way. So let's go and do these objectives here and see what we have to deal with. This is the first one for the gas station. We're going to have to come over here and we're going to have to deal with this, which is going to be getting fuel for the generator. And we have a friend here. This is actually a great point. So when you have a friend, go up to them and press E and you'll join groups with them. So now they'll show up in the top left corner of the thing. He's wondering why I'm not helping him. But yeah, so that way he's in our group and we're able to work together to be a party. There's also a good chance to show that you have elevation. There aren't any zombies currently that will get up on elevation. So you can get up on a car or you can move around this way, which will allow you to deal with them this way and you can hit them. Another thing to keep in mind is that there's also going to be elite zombies. If you ever see a zombie covered in blood, like, do you see how the difference between these two? Or they have red eyes like this? That's going to tell you that they are an elite zombie and they are going to have a lot more health and be a lot more aggressive as well. So you'll have to deal with them that way. And these are the Barry Allens of the world. These guys are a huge problem. They will run at you. Generally, the best way to deal with them is let them swing at you and then try to jump away when they arrive. But they are incredibly fast and very annoying to deal with. And they will usually get at least one hit in on you if you don't have some kind of stagger melee weapon. So we're probably just gonna have to run here because these guys are incredibly quick. Barry Allen! And luckily there's no friendly fire, so you don't have to worry about hitting your teammates. But for this one, for the gas station, we're gonna have to get a gasoline can and put the gas in the generator so we can get it started. But I actually need some meds right now. So let's see if we can actually loot a little bit and get through the gas station. And if you get knocked down, you can use your syringe to get back up again. If you don't have a syringe, you'll have a down timer, and other players can actually come save you if they're able to get to you in time, and they can use med kits on you as well. In which case, you'll say RIP to that character, and you'll be given 3 new random characters to pick from. Based on their description, you can kind of figure out what their first skill is going to be. Baseball rookie, Coast Guard veteran, and prepper. Generally, preppers are very good at holding on to materials. You can have any military vet that usually have some kind of gun or firearm build, and anyone relating to sports is usually using melee weapons. So let's pick the prepper here. Sandstone, we'll grab her, and we'll check her skill, and her skill is increased ammo from pickups, which is huge. There's actually an exploit with this, which I'm not going to tell you about. If you really care about it, you can use it, but this just gives you more ammo, which is really nice, and these kind of perks can go a long way. Now, if we have a base character, we'll have to extract with supplies at the end of the game in order to level all of these up to get everything set up for us. And there's also going to be puzzles you have to do in the game that have all kinds of, like, you lock into it and you have to do it. This one here, you just have to match up the 2 sides. There's not always going to be a 1-to-1 match. There's usually 1 or 2 missing that isn't there. Just finds the ones that match up, make sure everything's linked up, make sure the letters on the left and the right match, and then hit the button on the right side. There's going to be some where you have to line up a dial to make sure it hits the right way. You have to do all kinds of little puzzles and mini games, and you're locked into it for that time period. And this is what I was talking about before. You either, if you're by yourself, you have to barricade the door, put in proximity mines to kill the zombies, or you have to be in a group of at least 2 so someone can watch your back while you're doing the puzzle there. But once you finish a POI, you'll get access to these vaults here, which are armored doors, which won't be broken down. They're full of ammo. They're full of weapons. You can get like full assault rifles, sniper rifles, pump action shotguns, combat shotguns, tons of materials and everything in between. So you want to be doing these POIs as you work your way in toward the middle. Then once you get to the red POIs, there's going to be a actual terminal, like a laptop in there. You'll want to hit that button inside the vault of the red POI, and that will gain you access into the center power plant, which is where you will be extracting. Once inside, you'll go through a series of objectives again, depending on how you entered and what the match is going to be like. And as you get through all of these, you'll be able to gain access to the control center at the center, which will start the ending process of you getting extracted by a helicopter that comes to pick you up. Now, the reason I stress the compass so much, holding up the compass, is because it will actually bring up your real objectives. You can't really just go off of the red markers. You'll notice right now inside of, we're about to enter the control center in this run. If you look up in the corner, we'll see a red marker for opening a gate, which when you go to the gate, there's nothing you can press. There's nothing you can do. You can't actually open the door. There's no input button. It looks like it's bugged. But if you hold compass, it'll tell you, look for the lead scientist that has the passcode that allows you to open the gate. And that is sitting somewhere in the area. And that's the lead scientist right right there with the passcode on the ground. There's no marker, there's no indicator, there's no directional button that shows where it is. You don't even know where to look. You just have to look around to see if you can find something. And you'll notice once I finished that, then we can open the door and get to the next part. And without the compass, you wouldn't know that that's the hint it's giving you, because it wouldn't tell you what the objective is in plain text, so you can see what's going on. So if you're confused, if you're lost, check your compass, see what it's telling you to do. Sometimes the marker won't actually be your true objective. You have to use your head and look around. Then you'll enter this room, the control room, which is at the center of the map, and you'll have to do 2 or 3 rounds of full objectives. There's one screen that says initiate something. So you have one person go over here and interact with that. And then something on the other side of the room will tell you what the code is for that action. So you'll have to get on comms and say, hey, I need the code for boot up. As you can see on screen, it says boot up or airflow control or something like that. They'll give you a 6-digit code. You'll have to enter it to the computer. It'll start the process. You'll have to go through that. Then new objectives will spawn. You'll have to go around and do those objectives while zombies are swarming you. Come back, do it again, and probably do it a 3rd time. And then once that's done, then a helicopter will be on its way. You'll have to work your way over to the helicopter. It'll float around you just to tease you a little bit, and then eventually land, and you can get inside and extract. This will leave when the timer is up. If you're not in the helicopter, you will not extract. Your character will die. You'll have to start over, but you'll have to run over to this area. You'll have an indicator that'll tell you where it is, and you'll be able to go through that process of finishing it that way. You don't keep any gear when you extract, so whatever you have on you, like weapons, ammo, feel free to use it in the final showdown for those zombies that are swarming you, because you're not going to keep any of it. All you will have is the character XP supplies that come out with you. You'll still keep your character level, you'll still keep your character skills, but all the gear will reset for initial loadout when you go back into the game again. And that's it. That's the game from start to finish, going through that same cycle. I hope this helps clear up a lot of the issues. The game right now is quite buggy in early access and quite laggy in some cases as well, but I think the core game is quite good, so if you enjoy it, let me know if we should cover more of the game in the future. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.